think he committed suicide?
Nah, I don't believe that.
So,
I don't believe he killed himself.
So what do you believe? Because you hired an investigator?
Yeah, I hired investigators for it because I didn't believe, like, for Tiffany.
Excuse us. Make way, please.
Chris Lighty's death is labeled a suicide.
Right.
I can't live with that.
I can't fathom that because this is the first I seen. You see, Nori, this is the first that was somebody. So I could never, ever see Chris doing something to himself.
That's true, so your family feel you should do the investigation?
No question.
Okay, why is that?
I just feel that there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I need answers.
You need answers?
Yeah.
You don't feel like he took his own life?
50 Cent just made public Chris Lighty's latest autopsy report receipts. We now have proof that Diddy was the cause of Chris's death. After 50 Cent hired a new private investigator after learning that Diddy had organized a strange ceremonial celebration for Chris's funeral, this is what happened. In addition, Diddy told the crowd to make noise instead of giving Chris a moment of silence. That's not only disrespectful, it's diabolical. This is the reason why 50 Cent wants to know the truth about this once and for all. Chris Lighty, you see, was more than just a well-known music executive for Def Jam. He had a familial bond with 50 Cent. Furthermore, 50 Cent never accepted the official story that Chris killed himself.
Chris Lighty, the man who helped guide my career, both through the valleys and over the mountaintops, was gone.
Recently, 50 Cent hired a new private investigator to determine the actual reason for Chris Lighty's passing. 50 is determined this time to prove Diddy's role in Chris's death.
My sources confirmed to me that at the request of Chris Lighty's grieving mother, superstar artist 50 Cent has brought in a high-powered team to investigate the hip-hop mogul's death. Lighty managed the careers of superstars like 50 Cent and Diddy and orchestrated multi-million-dollar deals. But many of those who knew him still can't believe it was a suicide, as ruled by the New York City medical examiner. Former New York City medical examiner Dr. Michael Baden was called in by the family for a second autopsy.
In my opinion, the cause of death, clear as a gunshot wound to the head. The manner of death, accident, homicide, still is pending till all those tests are.
Chris's name was utilized during Diddy's trial in RICO, which is why 50 is bringing this up once more. But the mainstream media gave it absolutely no attention after witnessing the whole Cassie and Kid Cudi incident. Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, testified that Diddy dismissed her. Diddy's the lawyer asked Capricorn what she did after being fired, and she said, "I was hired by Chris Lighty to work for 50 Cent. Now, what happened with the job with Chris Lighty?" was one of the questions the U.S. lawyer asked Capricorn. During her cross-examination, Diddy's lawyer didn't inquire further about Chris Lighty or bring up this issue also. "She died the day before I was supposed to start," he said. "Back then, it was not about a job at Interscope. I was told to stay away from Puff." The judge immediately upheld Diddy's lawyer Mark Agnifil's objection at that point. Consequently, why was Diddy's lawyer so worried about his Capricorn bringing up Chris Lighty? Capricorn said that Diddy had blacklisted her after she was sacked, but Mark Agnifil also protested and the judge affirmed her allegation. This clearly indicates a problem. When Capricorn witnesses him abusing Cassie and setting off Kid Cudi's car, Diddy throws her out. Chris Lighty helps Capricorn land a new job with 50 Cent after Diddy dismisses her. But Chris kills himself the day before she was supposed to start. This is already strange. But we're about to discover something even stranger. Consequently, this is a formal description of death of Chris. On August 30th, 2012, the body of Chris was found dead outside his home in South Riverdale, Bronx. A bullet went through his head. The following day, NBC New York also reported that Chris had killed himself at around 11:30. Chris was found, according to the same account. An AMA law enforcement source also reported that he was found on the back patio of the basement, face up with a 9mm handgun next to him. Almost immediately thereafter, the media started to spin the tale. Some said that Chris's dejection was caused by his substantial IRS bill, although he allegedly fought with his estranged wife, Veronica, shortly before he died. According to others, all these claims, however, were denied by 50 Cent and others who knew Chris well. In a later interview with Drink Champs, 50 candidly says he didn't believe Chris killed himself also. He dispelled the allegations that Chris was struggling financially. Chris was reportedly doing extremely well financially because he had just recovered the money he had lost, according to 50. Furthermore, he paid back the $1 million that he had borrowed from 50.
Chris basically managed you your whole career.
Yeah.
Chris managed me basically my whole career. I'm sorry to ask this question, but we were going to both ask this question. Do you think he committed suicide?
I don't believe that. He got money, but it was tied in the investments that he would have lost. He would have had penalties if he pulled out before the time period. So I said, I give you $1 million and you just give it back to me. You know, when the thing is like on the time periods, like we'll make periods and say, all right, cool. He didn't even ask. I said I give it to you because it didn't make sense for me to we make too much money together for you to be under those. I'm not sure you're gonna work the same. Right. If you got that type of pressure on you, this is going to skip you. You miss it. They didn't miss no family vacations, no nothing.
All right.
Everything's happening the way it would happen at any other point. So the crazy part is at the time that I'm actually getting the phone call from him, is me telling him, look, he's saying, yo, that's already dealt with. Because like time went by,
He's talking about what is it? When he say
he gave me back the $1 million, Lord.
Oh, he gave you back.
So the money that I had loaned him, the $1 million, at the time that right before he passed away, is us having a conversation like, yo, talk to your people because all that money, you know, I did that. That's dope. It's all back now. So he's telling me.
What matter of time is that? Like
that was
2 weeks later?
Nah, it's an 8-month time period.
Okay.
But in the 8-month time,
he gave it with the profit.
He put the money back, the $1 million back. So he said, "Yeah, that's back. So why the you talking about financially being straight?"
Then, a second source close to Chris confirmed to Fox 5 that Chris closed the deal for 50 Cent to go on a world tour just before his tragic death.
Sources also tell me that Lighty was not deep in a bottomless financial hole and that he had just secured a world tour for 50 Cent for next year, which would have brought him millions of dollars.
Additionally, other officials denied that Chris's death was caused by his divorce. According to this Daily Mail piece, Veronica Lighty denied that she and Chris had a disagreement before he died. However, Chris's family did not believe that he killed himself. Chris Lighty's brother, Dave Lighty, also said in an interview with Sway in the Morning that all of the charges of foul play stood.
You know, there's been a lot of rumors and things swirling around your brother's death. I'm not even going to ask you about that. Okay?
Well, the rumors are justified.
They're justified?
I believe.
In addition, Dave said the family was conducting their own investigation because they believe the police closed the case too soon.
One of the things that people have been talking about is an investigation that's going on. Is that true?
Definitely.
That's true, so your family feel you should do the investigation?
No question.
Okay, why is that?
I just feel that there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I need answers.
You need answers?
Yeah.
You don't feel like he took his own life?
Nah. You know, I was with my brother almost every day. Till the last couple of months because I was going to school. So that's not my brother.
That's not in his DNA.
Not my brother. I know we were all going through stressful times. Everybody was. Shit, the economy is terrible right now. But at the same time, man, Chris was a go-getter. You know, the ultimate non-stopping machine. Yeah. You know, and that's just not something that I would see him putting upon the rest of us and everybody that he knows that looks up to him.
Then, Chris's cousin Ob said that Chris could not have really killed himself. He even questioned if the NYPD handled the situation improperly. NYPD just going on what they thought, said Ob. In the house, nothing says, "I don't want to live anymore." His finest move lasted for a long time. What on earth was he capable of doing? 50 Cent stepped in at that time and even hired private investigator Les Lavini to look into the situation. 50 considered Chris to be family, you see. 50 also commonly stated that he could not have achieved his success without Chris's assistance. In his audiobook Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, 50 recounted the moment he learned of Chris's death, and you could practically feel the pain in his voice.
On August 30th, 2012, I was in my office working on a promo plan for New Day, a track I just done with Alicia Keys, when I received the urgent phone call from a friend. He had devastating news. Chris Lighty, my longtime friend and manager, was dead. I had been standing in the middle of a bustling office, but when I heard the words "Chris is dead," it was like the noise around me suddenly turned off. "I can't believe I just heard you say those words to me," I told my friend. "Say it again so I'm sure I'm hearing you right." But there was no miscommunication, no mistake. Chris Lighty, the man who helped guide my career, both through the valleys and over the mountaintops, was gone. Even more devastatingly, I was being told that he had shot himself. That Chris Lighty, one of the smartest, most self-assured, and most motivated people I'd ever met, had decided to take his own life. To this day, it doesn't feel right.
50 also decided to include Chris's daughter Tiffany in his will, as a way to express how much Chris meant to him.
As soon as I learned he had passed, I made a vow that I would look out for Tiffany in his absence. I tried to live up to that promise, rewriting my will to include her. I'm so supportive of Tiffany that I didn't even flip when she knocked the mirror off one of the Lambos I let her drive. That's how you know it's love.
In 50's opinion, Chris was clearly much more than just a business partner. 50 Cent was still out in the world pushing his mixtapes when Chris first met us. They hit it off immediately, and Chris started managing 50 employees shortly after establishing Violator Management. In 1996, famous performers like Mariah Carey, Busta Rhymes, and Lil Cool J have previously been on Violator. Jay and 50 joined the mix in the late 1990s. He was mentored by Chris, who was in his 50s, from a relatively young age. With this in mind, you can only imagine 50's response to rumors that Diddy may have taken Chris out. Things get pretty dark at this point. 50 Cent hired a private detective named Leo Lavini. He decided that Chris was not a suicidal individual. I guess it comes down to the question, do I believe that Chris killed himself? Remarked Lavini on Fox News. Moreover, the answer is no. Furthermore, Lavini said, Chris would never be guilty of a marital or financial offense. There were too many other choices for him, Lavini added after confirming Lavini's comments. 50 Cent informed Fox that, shortly before his death, Chris had recently agreed to work with him on a $4 million tour deal. Meanwhile, other industry insiders started to openly claim that they didn't believe Chris killed himself. After years of knowing Chris, Tony Yo said on Drink Champs that the official explanation for his death was nonsensical.
Chris Lighty's death is labeled a suicide.
Right.
I can't live with that.
I can't fathom that because it's the first I seen with the G-Wagon. This the first I seen get fly. You know what I'm saying? This the first where we used to come to Violator. That's when it was, you know, they had Buster, they had Diddy, they had Foxy. I'm coming there, you see Freeway, you see Nori. This is the first that was somebody. So I could never ever see Chris doing something to himself. And he's always gonna get money because fucking when it comes to that G-Unit brand and that 50 brand, Chris Lighty and Violator play a major part in that.
After that, hip-hop expressed sadness and inquired about Chris Lighty's death in his 2012 obituary song, in which he raps about him. He benefited my career. The two of us took $1 million offer, which killed him. Everyone who knows Chris knows that the lies are not real, despite what they claim. For whatever reason, Chris's family decided to have a second autopsy conducted in the interim, but the results of that examination were never made public. So what is meant by this? Was there a bribe? So why was there so much talk of foul play when a number of industry heavyweights publicly said they didn't believe Chris committed suicide? But then all of a sudden the whole tale just disappears. Indeed, it's rather clear why. Sure, precisely. Many people believe Diddy took advantage of his influence and law enforcement connections to hide the real facts and make Chris's death seem like a self-inflicted death. This is a more sinister reason why 50 Cent believes Diddy was responsible for Chris Lighty's death. Chris was Diddy's manager at one point, and Diddy attended Chris's funeral. That being said, do you know what Diddy did the day after Chris was found dead? He held a party. Also, not just any party, and he called it the hottest party in town. On September 1st, 2012, the event took place in the Chateau nightclub and gardens in Paris, Las Vegas, and it continued to go crazy till the following morning. If you thought that was weird, E! News says Diddy told the crowd that the celebration was a tribute to Chris. They should all make noise, Diddy proposed. Rather than observing a minute of stillness, he questioned Diddy's odd memory by saying, Sean Diddy Combs honored his late friend Chris Lighty with hundreds of guests at his annual Labor Day celebration in Las Vegas on Saturday night. Instead of mourning the loss of his former manager alone, according to E! Diddy also told his guests, "We don't do moments of silence. Our noise lasts for 3 seconds," and you might be thinking, this situation sounds like it's reminiscent of Whitney Houston, and it's really ritualistic. But you're not by yourself. Sources close to 50 Cent tell us that after hearing Chris's name brought up during Diddy's trial, he hired a new private investigator to look into his death. Rumor has it that 50 started investigating the receipt when he was working on his upcoming Diddy documentary. It was then that he found out Diddy had hosted an odd ceremonial celebration the day after Chris's death. But hold on, I have something genuinely terrifying for you. Diddy showed up at that party wearing this outfit. Look at the symbols on his t-shirt. They may not appear like much at first. In case you were unfamiliar with it, this is a Star of Ishtar. It isn't just any symbol. The Star of Ishtar is linked to occult power, goddess worship, sacrifice, elite, initiation, and ancient Mesopotamian rituals. The transition from life to death has been symbolized by it for thousands of years. It is still present in media pertaining to secret societies nowadays as well. For example, Ishtar's star appears often in the movie Eyes Wide Shut, where elites perform ritualistic ceremonies while wearing masks. You've probably heard by now about Diddy's occult connection, which included a number of sinister practices like animal sacrifice.
This is according to a former bodyguard that while on the way to receive the verdict back for this 1999 club shooting case, so, years ago, decades ago at this point, but Diddy allegedly made a pit stop in Central Park. He met a man and they allegedly took part in some sort of ritualistic killing that was supposed to bring him good luck.
The date of Chris's death, the symbolism, and Diddy's obsession with killing 50 Cent as a result, it was all to near together. Furthermore, the same emblem was used on Diddy's t-shirt at the Chris Memorial event. Many people are wondering if Diddy's hosting of these bizarre full moon ceremonies for idol worship is too much of a coincidence, especially when it was recently revealed Gene Deal, Diddy's former security guard, also said that these traditions coincided with the birthdays of Diddy's close friends and relatives who died under suspicious circumstances.
And I think that he had almost told off on himself when he spoke about the winter solstice. And that's when the pagans and people who believe in the cult was looking for that moon on 12/12 at 12 a.m. And they were doing spiritual rituals at that time. That's when that was going to be the last day of the full moon. And that means that the seasons and all that stuff has changed. But when you get into that spiritual realm stuff, it was when people they went and they paid homage to certain sacrifices and homage to certain idols. And on the third day, they would drink, party, be merry, and the men would have sex with each other. If you don't believe it, look it up for yourself. It was the last day of the full moon. And because it landed on 12/12 at 12, that's when ritual sacrifices and prayers and everything was given to certain idols. And on the third day, they drank, they be merry and be happy, and the men would give gifts to each other and have sex with each other. So it was bigger than that. And he gave his day on my man's birthday, 3 days after the full moon, 3 days after the last moon on 12/12, 12 a.m.